Lawrence, it's really nice to meet you. Before we kind of get started here, I just want to let you know some information. Our meeting for this initial time is really a chance for me to kind of get to know you a little bit better. As we kind of go through, I am going to be asking you some questions, and as we get further into it, I'll just kind of be taking notes on what you tell me.
Okay.
If anything I say at any point makes you feel uncomfortable, just please let me know and we'll work through it, okay?
Sounds good. Is it alright if I lay on the couch like this? I just had a long day.
No, yeah, absolutely. I want you to make sure that you're comfortable too. So is the
Alright.
window okay as well?
Perfect.
Okay, alright, sounds good. So I wanted to start off a little bit about some medical information, if that's okay. So I guess to try to make it a little bit broad to get started, do you have any major medical concerns right now?
I'm being treated for type 2 diabetes
Okay,
and arthritis in my hands and feet.
okay, gotcha. Alright, and do you have a primary care doctor by chance?
I go to Community Health and Behavioral Services in
Okay.
Utica.
Alright, sounds good. What we'll do actually is more towards the end, we'll just fill out a release in case, we need to contact each other back and forth and things like that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So before you kind of came in, I did get your application that you were interested in receiving therapy services and things of that nature. One thing that kind of stuck out to me was that you have served in the military. So can you just tell me a little bit about that? Like, what branch of service were you in?
I was in the Marines.
Oh, okay. You're not in right now?
No, it's
Okay.
kind of a long story. I can give you the short version.
Were you chaptered out or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I took a leave without permission.
Mhm.
And we could talk more about that later, but more or less, my wife got pregnant when I was at basic training and kind of panicked, got scared, and left before Desert Storm even happened. So after a psychiatric evaluation, they determined I was not fit to continue my service.
Okay, understood. Is there any specific way you would like me to address you, like a certain title or anything?
No, I just prefer my first name because I don't have that title anymore.
Okay, gotcha. So you said you went through basic training. What was your rank?
I would have been a private if I had continued and possibly moved up in rank as time went on, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Because you didn't complete, you didn't.
Right.
Okay. So you said you were in basic training. Okay, got that. And where were you stationed? I'm not sure.
Training was in Paris Island.
Okay. Okay.
Good old Paris Island.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: what sort of made you want to join the military?
I didn't feel like I had a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
I completed high school, so I certainly had job prospects, but I didn't have any major interests. I didn't have a clear path of what I wanted to do, and the benefits looked good. And at that time, I was very patriotic and prideful of my country, and I felt like it was my duty to serve at that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So being a Marine, what kind of made you decide to be a Marine versus, Army, Navy, things of that nature?
Probably at that time, I'm 18-year-old, the prestige of it, it's arguably the toughest branch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most intense training, and, even other service members sometimes look up to the Marines and what they accomplish and how important they are to the overall mission in general, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. So going back to you you said you're not in the military anymore. How long have you been out for?
Well, it's been like 15 years or so since I was in basic.
Okay, so it's been quite some time. All right. So what was that process like after leaving? You said you were chaptered out, and it was kind of determined that you weren't unfit at the time. So how did that kind of affect your life after? Is it still affecting?
Well, it was weird because my brother also served in the Marines, and he completed basic and went on to be deployed in Kuwait during Desert Storm and things like that. So we were supposed to do all that together. And the fact that I ended up home and he continued to serve, that created a huge rift between us, and our relationship's never been the same.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what brings you in here today. I see that you were a self-referral, so what kind of, what's going on, I guess, as far as that?
So I've been married twice, and I have 3 kids. I don't speak or have any contact with my first wife or my children that I had with her. That was the child that was born shortly after my service was completed. My second wife, she moved to South Carolina with this guy that she was cheating on me with. And recently, she told me that she's moving back to Utica with this guy and our children who I never talked to. So they've been gone forever, and now they're coming back into my life, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with that.
Okay. So how is that sort of affecting your day-to-day?
Well, it's weird. It's a mixture of excitement, nerves, and kind of a feeling that we lost a lot of time already. But I also feel a lot of pressure to kind of make it right this time.
So you have a lot of pressure from that. Okay. Let me get into a little bit more about that. So, how do you sleep each night? Do you sleep enough?
Yeah, I sleep just fine.
So you get enough sleep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like do you get irritated easily? Things like that?
Yes, I I had to complete a couple anger management courses at various points. I served some time in prison for a domestic violence charge against my first wife. Spent 3 years in prison for that, and I've been out for about 5 or 6.
Okay. So this was after you left the military?
Yeah, I'd been home for quite a while. I can't tell you how many years, but when I found out, I've been cheated on twice by both of my wives, but the first time I found out I was cheated on, I reacted pretty poorly.
Okay. So, what about in terms of when I'm talking about like your day-to-day experiences? Do you feel like with everything that you have on your plate, the feelings of overwhelmingness that you might be feeling, is there anything that you're not able to do that maybe you used to do in the past? That makes sense?
I don't leave the house very much.
Okay.
I constantly feel like people are not necessarily looking at me, but I feel like they're quick to judge me.
Okay.
And I don't want to have to confront them and deal with that, so I find that it's best to just keep to myself.
Okay. So kind of isolating yourself.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. Do you ever feel like you get worried often?
Yes, and especially recently. Like I said, my 14-year-old son is going to be coming back into the same city as me now. And I've barely talked to him in, 6, 7 years now. So I'm extremely scared to meet with him again and see if we can have that relationship.
Okay. Gotcha. Have you, as we're kind of talking more, I'm just sort of thinking, have you ever received any mental health services in the past?
When I left the military, they referred me to, some sort of clinic. And I went there for a while, and then the whole domestic violence thing happened. I went to prison. I received a little bit of treatment there in the terms of like group therapy and stuff like that. And then when I came back home, I kind of bounced around counselors and couldn't really find a good fit for me. And that's kind of why I'm here now.
So it sounds like when you sort of left the military, you were kind of seeking services after that, and then kind of when the domestic violence situation came about, it sort of changed the trajectory of how you sought services. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it was a requirement. It was mandated that I seek some sort of treatment. But I was also kind of on board with it too because I didn't want to behave in that manner again.
Okay, so you were ready for it at that time.
Yeah.
So something else I do want to ask, and again, this is something that might be uncomfortable for you to answer, but I do have to ask it. Do you currently feel, or have you ever had any plans to harm anyone other than yourself?
Well, like I said, I got into physical altercations in the past, but I don't have any plans or desires to do that kind of stuff now.
So no plan or intent to kill someone, things of that nature?
Absolutely not.
Okay, what about any past or current plans to harm yourself?
Definitely in the past.
In the past, okay.
No current attempts or anything like that, but...
So you have tried to commit suicide in the past?
Correct.
Okay, when was that, if you don't mind me asking?
2016 was the last attempt that I made.
How did you try to kill yourself?
I took a knife and tried to slash my throat open, and didn't go so well.
Okay. And then after that, did you seek help after that?
Yeah, I went
Okay.
inpatient for quite a while after
Okay.
that.
Okay, and the reason we ask is just because, if you ever felt that way, I want to make sure that you have all the resources that you can. So even if you're not feeling that way, you haven't felt that way for a couple of years, when you leave here, I'm still going to give you some information.
Okay.
It has our line for emergencies that you can always talk to a counselor, our mobile crisis assessment team, which is local in the area. I'll give you access to them. It's 24/7, 911, and local hospitals and that. And then I would also kind of hope that you can think of maybe somebody in your own life that if you were feeling that way might be able to notice that something's off with you
Yeah,
and
yeah.
can help you with that as well.
I definitely have those people.
Okay.
I don't feel that way anymore at all, really.
Okay. So
It's just, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm kind of in a different place now.
Gotcha. But if you ever feel that way, I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable. Like we are definitely a resource for you to help you with what you might need. Okay.
Sounds good.
So when you got services the first time around, what kind of things did you work on?
I used to have depression and anger kind of going back between the two. The depression's pretty much gone now. I've kind of dealt with that stuff.
Okay.
It's mostly just the anger still and some of the anxiety that I have.
Okay. How old were you when you were first diagnosed with depression?
I don't remember ever feeling super depressed until after I returned from the service.
Okay, so that kind of brought everything about, because you were going through a lot at the time, so so that makes some sense. That makes sense. I wanted to ask, and I apologize if this is kind of a little makes you uncomfortable. So if it does, just please let me know. But I do kind of want to ask, over the last 12 months or so, have you used any drugs that weren't required for medical reason?
Yes, I've used some Oxycontin and things like that a few times, but in my defense, this arthritis in my hands and feet, I've got so many tests done, so many shots, and it seemed like nobody really could give me an answer, and I was tired of the pain, so I bought them off a family member and took them a few times to deal with it, and that's that.
When's the last time you took Oxycontin?
Probably about 9 months ago.
Okay. And what about alcohol? Do you drink at all?
Yeah, I drink. With my diabetes, I can't drink very frequently. I'll have maybe 1 or 2 beers a month, if that. I used to be a heavy drinker, but I just can't do it. Too much sugar.
Okay, so you just drink occasionally. Going back to the use of Oxycontin, did you receive any sort of treatment for that, or is something
No.
just kind of stopping your own?
No, it wasn't something that I got hooked to necessarily. I just it was kind of a Band-Aid for my pain at the time.
Okay. And do you smoke at all? Cigarettes, marijuana, anything like that?
I'm a social cigarette smoker. Those rare occasions that I do have a beer or two, maybe sometimes I'll take a cigarette from a friend, but I don't smoke every day.
Nothing like that, okay. And are you currently on any medications?
I don't take insulin, but I was on it for a brief period of time, but everything kind of regulated, and luckily I don't take it anymore. I do take high blood pressure medication and Neurontin for some of the pain that I'm dealing with. It's kind of a mild painkiller, if you will.
Okay. If you want to just make a note to it, actually next time we meet, I would like to kind of have a running list of your medications. So if you could at least maybe bring the bottles, or if you can remember to write those down, that would be really helpful for us, I
I'll
think.
do that.
We could request it from the doctor as well, but that would be helpful for us. Let's talk a little bit about your family. I see that you have a tattoo there that represents your family of origin. So what ethnicity are you?
I am German, 3rd generation, but white as they come overall.
Do you identify as any specific religion?
I was raised Roman Catholic, but I don't. Maybe I'll go on Easter to make my mom happy, that kind of thing.
Okay. Do you feel close with your family?
I'm close with my uncle and my mother. My uncle has some severe physical disabilities, and he's in a wheelchair, and we just bust balls all the time. We make fun of each other, and my mom, she's my main support. Even as an adult, I still surround myself with family all the time.
What about your kids? I know you talked a little bit about them earlier, but do you feel like you have good relationships with them?
No.
No? Okay.
I bought them presents for Christmas, and it took 3-4 months for one of my other kids who was in the area at the time to pick them up and bring them to my youngest son.
Mm-hmm.
And he never called me, he never said thank you, nothing like that.
Okay. Do you still have a hard time with that?
I mean, I get it. What happened was, when the last time I did see him, he talked back to me, and I slapped him across the face. And his mother, when she went to Carolina, my son didn't want to talk to me anymore after that.
Okay.
And I just felt like I was disciplining him properly, to be honest with you.
Okay. So now that I've kind of gone through a lot of like the nitty gritty, like medical assessment, you know, health, kind of social history kind of aspects of it, I want to kind of revisit one of the first things we talked about, which was kind of what brought you in. So you talked about, you know, your ex-wife coming back and your kids coming back that you don't really have a good relationship with,
Yep.
and that seems to be a pretty big stressor in your life.
It is.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so surrounding that, what do you think is kind of your biggest stressor in that, and how it's affecting really your personal life? It seems like it's everything.
Well, it's weird to me that she's moving back with the guy that she cheated on me with.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's their father now, and I don't know what my role is. You know, I don't know if there's room for me, I guess you could say. After that incident with my son, I don't know if we can resume the relationship that we had. And, you know, I don't live in the nicest house. I didn't finish my military service. I don't have a lot of money. I'm afraid that he's not going to be impressed with me and proud of me and care enough to want to be around me when he's got everything that he's got already with this other guy.
Okay, so you're sort of feeling like because you didn't finish a military experience that he's not going to kind of be part of you as his father.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. You know, like I said, there's other things too, but I guess I don't know if I feel as adequate as this other guy. You know. They seem like they have a nice life, and they're moving back here because they can. Financially, they're fine, and everything's good, and here I am. I'm on Shelter Plus Care, and I get these benefits every month, and I don't know how I can really stack up with that.
Okay. All right. So I first want to say that I really appreciate you kind of being comfortable sharing those experiences with me and everything that you're going through. Like I said, you know, within this first session, it's really kind of just me getting to know you and kind of getting a better understanding about you know, where you come from and how you're feeling and what you want. So I would like you to kind of think about, before we come back and meet for the next session, maybe 2 or 3, I guess, goals, if you will, and things that you would like to see happen for yourself. You know, what are you looking for, or what are you seeking out of treatment? And it doesn't have to be like a very concrete, linear sort of answer, but if you can kind of just think about, you know, if you were to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and life is how you want it, what are like your top 2 or 3 things that would happen for yourself?
I can do that.
Does that make sense? Okay, so what we'll do from here is, you know, like I said, I kind of took some notes about the stuff that you let me know. I'm going to take another look and kind of familiarize myself a little bit more. You know, as we kind of go to the front, we'll get you scheduled for your next appointment.